and we would get taken to Silverstone. So that was a big treat. And that was a big treat. My dad was not like in the business of take your kids to work. He was like, well, no one else has to. Why do I? Yeah, you lot are staying at home. I mean, the times when, like, even my mum, she never went races. You see on TV now, you know, all the team principals take their wives to most of the Grand Prix, don't you? And my mother got to go to Silverstone with us and Montreal. That was it. And rather than, you know, my dad did have a private plane. He wouldn't let my mum go on the plane because she wasn't allowed to use the bathroom. She had to fly commercial. And even in the early days of their marriage, you know, they would be flying to a race together and he would come up with some excuse and my mum would fly economy and he would make ticket change and fly fast.
He's really a Formula One team. So
he was a bit naughty, my dad, in that sense. But no, we knew what my dad did. Yeah. And, you know, on the odd weekend, he used to take us to the factory, our headquarters, when my mum had had enough of the childcare and said, you know, Frank, you've got to do some work here. And we would be taken to, our factory was in Didcot, and we used to hang out there sometimes on weekends. Oh my God, those were the happiest memories of my childhood, getting to go to Williams at the weekend, stealing stationery from the stationery cupboard and, you know, annoying all the people that worked there. I loved it. It was wonderful.
Was it more the people you loved to be around, just like that environment, or was it the cars and the motorsport side of it?
Everything.
Yeah.
So I much preferred being at the factory.
Right.
And I loved the place, the environment. I don't know, I felt at our first factory in Didcot, I just loved it, the smells and the work and the people and the busyness that was going on. And then in our, like, the last place that we had in Wantage, the roundabout was actually outside the factory. It was named the Williams F1 roundabout. And when I got there, whether that be, you know, to arrive for work on a morning or coming back from a meeting or from a race weekend or whatever, and I would see that roundabout and it was like, I'm home. Yeah. I very much felt that those factories were they were my home really at the end of the day. Yeah. But, you know, my going to the racetrack, you know, it wasn't about, you know, the glamour of being at a racetrack or I love being around the people and I love being around the cars. So my favourite time at a racetrack was always on a Saturday evening when there was nobody left in the garage, and I would literally just go and sit on the garage floor and go and sit next to the cars. And it sounds so lame, but I would have a little chat with them. They were really a part of me, yeah. I went back to Miami this year for my first race back since leaving. Sorry, I'm veering all over.
No, go ahead.
But it was, I kind of held it together because I knew it would be quite emotional. When I walked into the garage and I saw what I call my cars, I lost it. It was like, no, and they're inanimate objects, aren't they? But to me, they are so much more.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, we're going to get onto a lot of that because I've got some questions for you. But going back to being younger, I mean, at the time, the team you were winning world championships. I mean, the first one was won when you were about 4 from you being alive. So like that environment of you know, the family, because I know it's more than just Frank and your dad, but that environment where it's a championship winning team. When you're younger, did you realise that's what was happening? Or was it more like it's just, I don't want to use the word playground, but it felt like that. It was home. It was more comfortable. Did you know the level that they were performing at?
No, not at all. I never knew. Certainly those early days. I remember I was, like you say, I was 4 when Dad won his first world championship, and he had a flurry of success in the early and mid 80s up until my dad's accident. Yeah. And no, I mean, I think I was too little. The only thing I think I did realise that maybe might be slightly different was I used to have to get the bus to school, and all the boys in the school wanted me to sit on the back seat with them because they wanted to talk about my dad's F1 team. I didn't really understand what was going on. They were a little older, but that was the kind of attention. Yeah. And I remember my dad took me to school once, to the bus stop, dropped me to the bus stop once that I remember. And that day was just the highlight of my entire kind of prep school career, because my dad was dropping me off and I knew that everybody would be like, oh my God, that's Frank Williams. Wow. But I didn't really understand. I knew my dad was, there was, something going on there, but I didn't understand. And there wasn't the access, I suppose. I didn't watch races. I was young. No young girl wants to sit for 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon and watch a Grand Prix, really. And there wasn't the social media. It was just a newspaper. Some days at school, when I was at boarding school, I would have to wait until the Monday morning when the newspapers came to the library that I would check where Williams finished in the race the Sunday before. And
Because you're not speaking to your parent, you don't know what's going on.
You just don't know. Social media wasn't there. I wasn't allowed to watch a Grand Prix at school on a Sunday afternoon, so I never really would know. It was only when I suppose we used to go to Silverstone that I understood quite the enormity of my dad and what he'd achieved in my teenage years, in the days of Mansell in the 90s. And, we'd go to Silverstone, we'd drive in, and my dad's car would literally be mobbed by people. And I would go, geez, Louise, what is going on here? And then, they all wanted to see my dad. And my dad was, an incredible, he was an icon of Formula One, and people adored him. And that was when I got the sense that, okay, my dad's kind of a big deal here.